the ship stages. Most recently, we began loading LOX and methane fuel into the header tanks on the Starship. And on the graphic on the left side of the screen, you can see up in the nose of the second stage, what we call Starship, are those two header tanks for fuel and liquid oxygen. Now that loading started at T-minus 24 minutes and will continue until approximately T-minus 5.5 minutes. Now Starship's second stage main fuel and LOX tanks are loaded for flight. And the second stage propellant that we're loading on board is going through the quick disconnect that comes out on the arm that's located at the base of the stage from the tower. Now on the Super Heavy booster, propellant loading will continue until T-minus 3 minutes. We've also configured the pad for liftoff. A little earlier in the count, the hold downs, the booster hold downs were commanded to unlatch. That means once the rocket has sufficient thrust to overcome its weight, it'll lift off the pad. There's no need to command the hold downs to release the rocket. As we mentioned earlier also, the ignition sequence has been slightly modified from the last flight for more efficient. Ensure there are no boats in the safety perimeter before proceeding with launch out over the Gulf of Mexico. Now currently we're coming up T-minus 7 minutes, 10 seconds to the test flight of Starship. Propellant loading is continuing on both stages of Starship. We're waiting now for the checkout will be performed. We may get a view looking up at the engines as we gimbal the 13 middle engines to check them out just before liftoff at about T-minus 90 seconds. If we need to hold, it would come at T-minus 40 seconds. That's the point in the countdown where we can pause to wait for final checkouts or pressurization to complete, or as we're
at the same time, and that will push the booster away from the ship. It'll separate the two stages. So that's the primary.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We have liftoff. Vehicle pitching downrange.
Chambers pressure nominal.
We are T-plus 40 seconds into the flight of Starship. 33 Raptor engines powering the first stage.
Power and telemetry nominal.
We've heard power and telemetry nominal call out. We're heading downrange over the Gulf of Mexico. And that call out tells us Starship is through the period of greatest stress on the way to space. Now the next major event is hot staging in just over 90 seconds from now. To get ready, the booster will shut down all but 3 of the Raptor engines. Clamps holding the 2 stages together will release, and the Starship's second stage will ignite its engines. Starship will then separate from the Super Heavy booster and head to space. And at the same time, the 3 engines that are still firing on Super Heavy will flip the booster around. 10 more engines will ignite for the boost back burn, putting the first stage on path for a splashdown in the Gulf of Mexico. Engine power continues to look nominal on 33 Raptor engines. We're about to shut down the first stage and perform staging. Let's watch and listen.
And acquisition of signal Houston and New Orleans.
Booster engine cut off. Stage separation.
Boost bank startup.
You're hearing the cheering. The first ever successful hot stage for SpaceX's Starship.
Incredible views of our Super Heavy booster. And as you can see, the Super Heavy booster has just experienced a rapid, unscheduled disassembly. However, our ship is still underway with
Ship
all
avionics,
6.
power and telemetry nominal.
And we just heard there, ship avionics, power and telemetry nominal. All 6 engines are lit, as you can see from the GUI there at the bottom right-hand side of your screen. Now, we did know that the that hot staging was going to be incredibly dynamic. We knew that there was a chance that the booster would not survive, but we're going to take that data and figure out how we can make the booster better for the next hot stage.
Yeah, that hot staging put a lot of load on the top of the booster. And of course, it flipped around there, a lot of dynamic stuff happening. But ship is still going strong.
And it's doing great. Right now, the ship, the second stage, is on its way. Like we said, you can see all 6 of its engines are ignited. The next major milestone for the ship will be the shutdown of those engines, or SECO, second engine cutoff, which if you follow our Falcon 9 launches, familiar terminology there. So far, today has been incredibly successful, even with the RUD of the Super Heavy booster. This is amazing.
Primary objective of the booster today, to get to hot staging, to get ship on its way to orbit. It did that admirably.
Yeah, we definitely asked.
Starship trajectory nominal.
All right, great news there. That trajectory for ship is
Acquisition
nominal.
of signal, Cape Canaveral.
Once again, Starship's second stage is firing those engines. And as you just heard, everything's looking good. Now, for the ship, we wanted it to survive hot staging, which, as you can see there by that little dot on your screen, it did. We also want to basically demonstrate that the successful startup of those engines, demonstrating controlled ascent, which is what it's doing right now, and eventually orbital insertion. We are hoping to basically send this around the Earth, and if it makes it this far, splash down in the Pacific Ocean, a couple hundred miles north of Hawaii. Now, if we get that far, like, all of that sounds great. Secondary objectives for ship, again, continuing to gather engine data and about its health, performance.
Nominal ship chamber pressures.
Great news there. That tells us that the chamber pressures inside of the Starship, again, that's that small dot on your screen, basically the propellant pressures in the ship are looking good.
Yeah, the bottom right corner of your screen, you can see essentially a user interface showing us which engines are lit. So the 3 center sea level Raptor engines on ship are gimbaling engines. The 3 outer engines in the triangle, the larger ones, are Raptor vacuum engines. All of them continuing to fire nominally. So they're at the pressures that we expect to try to get into our target trajectory today.
Yeah.
And we're not targeting orbit today. We're targeting almost orbit today. That's very intentional as part of the mission design. The goal is to get to a thrust profile similar to what we would need for orbit, but also
And
to get to the energy levels that the ship would need to dissipate for re-entry. And so we're actually going in a suborbital trajectory today, but that trajectory will get us to the energy levels that we need at re-entry, where we can really stress that heat shield and get valuable data on re-entry. And those calls that we are still on a nominal trajectory here and seeing nominal pressures means that we have a really good shot of hitting our target orbit.
Yeah. Now, if the booster had survived, we would be around the time where it would be getting ready to land, performing its re-entry, but it unfortunately did not survive. That being said, that's okay. It survived several seconds after hot staging, so we're going to take that data and improve the hot staging sequence and probably improve the hardware itself for the next flight.
They're standing by for a call out here. Coming up on the projected time that ship would shut down its engines.
As you can tell by the excitement from the crowd here.